Hello and welcome to this special broadcast. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Ever since the Pulwama attack, the heat between Pakistan and India has been growing north. And we talked to somebody today who's very familiar with Pakistan, Kashmir, and all things related. He was the chief of RAW and also served as an advisor to the PMO on Kashmir. We speak with Mr. AS DULAT. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us. The first question I want to ask you is that how did you react after the Pulwama attacks?
No, this was a horrendous attack, a terrible tragedy. But in a way, something like this was waiting to happen. It's unfortunate, very bad luck that it happened that so many people died. But South Kashmir has been out of control for quite a while now. At times it literally looks as if it's on fire. And I don't think we are in control of what's going on there. We don't have a proper grasp of what is really happening on the ground. And this has been admitted even by very senior army officers. I mean, one-time army commander, General Huda, I remember remarked, and I happened to be in Srinagar. It was June 2016. And he said that, when whole villages come out in support of militants, there's very little the army can do. So, and he said more than once that we've done what we had to do. It's up to the politicians now. But this whole business of Operation All Out and mosquito policy hasn't worked. It's not going to work. It's not worked anywhere in the world, And any insurgency which is really big cannot be controlled by force. It's not happened.
Right.
So people have got it wrong here.
You said that this was something that was waiting to happen. We'll come to that in just a bit. But you also said, and I read recently, that we must pursue aggressive diplomacy with Pakistan and avoid coercive action. Why would you say that?
Well, it's very difficult to spell out or to define coercive action because it has its limitations. We've been through surgical strikes. So obviously it would have to be something more than surgical strikes. And what could you do? So I think this coercive or aggressive diplomacy is the best option. It does, in a sense, internationalize Kashmir because it brings the focus there. But India has received a lot of support. Now even the UN Security Council has condemned what happened in Pulwama and also named the Jaish. So I think what we were hoping for has already happened. And we were very worried about the Chinese, but the Chinese have fallen in line. Simultaneously, Imran Khan has announced a ban on the Jamiatul Dawa, the other villain in Pakistan, Hafiz Saeed. So things are happening.
Do you ever feel that if you advocate diplomacy towards Pakistan, you can be branded as an anti-national?
No, I was not, the reference that I had made was not to Pakistan. I was talking of international diplomacy. But ultimately, there is no other way but to talk to Pakistan, but to have a relationship with Pakistan. Like Vajpayee said a long time ago, and I think he understood the whole thing better than anybody else. He said, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your neighbors. And Pakistan is a reality. We have to deal with Pakistan. And if you remember the bus ride in February 99, he went to Pakistan, which was I thought, a path-breaking initiative. And he said there, along with Mian Nawaz Sharif, कि हम जंग ना होने देंगे. And therefore, Modi ji, I think, has been very lucky. All prime ministers are tested at some time or the other. And he's gone through 5 years without any serious problem. Vajpayee had Kargil. He had the attack on Parliament. He had the hijacking of 814. And he was repeatedly provoked, but he stood by what he believed in. And that was that this permanent confrontation with Pakistan must end.
Right. There's also a thought that we must actually try and talk to the Saudis to talk to Pakistan. But on the other hand, the United States, Mr. Dulat, has tried to warn Pakistan. They in fact control a lot of funds which go into Pakistan in the form of aid. Pakistan has in fact ignored what the US has been telling them. Why would they listen to Saudi Arabia?
Well, they're very extremely close, the Saudis and the Pakis. But I wouldn't say that we need to go through Saudi Arabia. I mean, if Sidhu can go and hug General Bajwa, then surely there are better, straighter ways to do it. I don't think there's a problem in reaching out to Pakistan. It is our hesitation, you know. Given the last 5-6 years, there's been more hesitation on our side than on the Pakistani side. The Pakistanis have not been tested. So, you know, when we say what is the point of talking to Pakistan, my point is, it's always worth checking out somebody, you know. What do we lose by talking to Pakistan? You have to talk to Pakistan.
Haven't we spoken enough?
Yeah, that's a good excuse for not talking anymore. Haven't we spoken enough? We say the same thing about Kashmiris. Who do we talk to in Kashmir? You don't even talk to Farooq Abdullah. What's the problem? He's been chief minister 3 times. He's been a union minister here with the UPA government. Nobody talks to him. Nobody consults him. Nobody asks him. Why? Because of our mental block. You know, it was a former US Secretary of State, Dean Rusk, who was there during Kennedy's time, who said that the best way to deal with your adversary is with your ears. We've gone deaf. We neither listen nor do we talk.
Now, going back to the answer to my first question on Pulwama, you said that this was something that was waiting to happen.
When I say waiting to happen, these things keep happening in Kashmir.
But let me finish my question, sir. Let me finish my question, sir.
Okay, carry on.
Do you think this was perhaps a very great intelligence failure, because 250 kg of RDX making its way to the most secure highway in Kashmir is perhaps disaster waiting to happen?
Amit, whenever anything goes wrong, anywhere in the world, it's immediately said it's an intelligence failure. And obviously, there has been a failure. 9/11 would not have happened. Repeated attacks in Britain and in Europe would not happen if there was no intelligence failure.
But there hasn't been a 9/11 after 2001.
Oh, the Americans have
upgraded the security
Americans have been lucky. You know, once a bomb nearly went off in near that park, somebody was preparing to set it off. So the Americans have been lucky. Also, don't forget that America is far away from the main theater of terror. There's no denying the fact that the main factory of terror remains in Pakistan. And Pakistan itself is caught up in that. I'm sure one of Imran Khan's main concerns is this, that how does he deal with this terror which has gone out of control? It's a Frankenstein which they've created.
Mr.
Why
Dulal,
don't we understand that?
from an intelligence point of view, a lot of people would, try and answer this question: that how come the terrorists knew where to strike, when to strike, whom to strike, at what point to strike, but the intelligence agencies had no idea? From an intelligence point of view.
See, that's why I said at the outset that it's a bit of bad luck also. The idea would have been, the plan would have been, yes, blow up, something. And it had to be either the army or the paramilitary. And It just was bad luck that there were so many people in that bus.
You also said that whenever New Delhi ignores the Kashmiris, they in fact find some safe haven towards Pakistan. You think we are in the middle of that situation?
The point I've made repeatedly, the Pakistan game was over long ago. I would put it at 9/11. That was a watershed. After that, the Kashmiri realized that Pakistan is no good for them. They're only being used by Pakistan. And there came a stage when Pakistanis themselves lost interest. I've been meeting a lot of Pakistanis. I've been attending conferences. Quite often, Kashmir was not discussed. And I used to say, "Bhai, what about your core issue?" And they would say, "Chodo yaar." We have brought Pakistan back into this game in the last 2.5 years. Pakistan is finished. And even today, there is no love for Pakistan. We need to understand certain realities. You know, when we say Kashmir is in a two-tongue, we need to treat it as in a two-tongue. The Kashmiri understands that India will never let go of Kashmir. Kashmir is going nowhere. You know? Some people say we've lost the valley. No, we've lost nothing. We will never lose the valley. But what are we doing to the valley? Why are we antagonizing everybody? Why is the alienation level going through the roof?
Right. We'll come back to this, but you also said that Vajpayee, perhaps as a prime minister, was more challenged as a PM.
Much more challenged.
IC 814, the parliament attacks,
but
yet he did not give up on Pakistan.
Never.
So will it be right to say that perhaps the current establishment is letting go of the legacy of Vajpayee?
Oh, they let go of it immediately, at the very outset. It's not being let go now. That's one of the tragedies of Kashmir. You know, Vajpayee is still revered in Kashmir. When he was dying and when he died, I remember talking to some people in Kashmir. I happened to be in Jaipur, I was not here. And I rang up some of the senior separatists and I spoke and I said, "What's happening?" Nothing. अब क्या? यहाँ तो सिर्फ अटल जी की बात हो रही. And even today, you go to Kashmir and talk to the separatists. They say the only way forward is the Vajpayee way. Or they talk about Musharraf's 4-point formula, which was almost the same. And Dr. Manmohan Singh followed the same. Unfortunately, that deal never happened. If that had happened, as Dr. Manmohan Singh says when he demitted office, that it almost happened. If it had happened, I think we would have had about 15 years of peace in Kashmir. So it's a pity. That's what happens between India and Pakistan. It's almost happening, but it never happens. And then you say, why? How long will we talk? We should talk as long as it happens.
Now, Mr. Dulat, every time things go wrong between India and Pakistan, there are talks about breaching the Indus Water Treaty. If we do something of that sort, we don't even have to breach the Indus Water Treaty, we just have to follow it. Right now, we are a little magnanimous to Pakistan when it comes to giving water. Yeah. Is there going to be a backlash from China if we do something of this nature?
Obviously, there will be a reaction, And in fact, what Mr. Gadkari is suggesting now is what the Kashmiris have been saying at times, that we are being deprived of water, which is going to Pakistan. But, I don't know when and how and when this will happen, but hopefully, surely before that, relations between India and Pakistan would improve.
Well, let's talk a bit about the current Prime Minister, Imran Khan. A lot of people say that he's the Manchurian candidate. He's a puppet of the ISI. The army controls him. Yet he is very eager to construct and promote the concept of a Naya Pakistan. How do you react?
He is no Manchurian. He is nobody's candidate. Imran Khan is very much his own man. He's always been so. After all, he is Kaptan Saab. He is the one who brought the World Cup to Pakistan. So I don't think it, it is to our advantage to belittle him. And he knows more Indians than any other Pakistani. He's been here about 35 times. And all our senior cricketers are friends of his. It's a pity that Gavaskar didn't go and only Sidhu went.
But what did you think of his comments after Pulwama?
Who's coming?
Navjot Singh Sidhu's comments.
I actually didn't hear what he said, but
Well, he said that the entire country should not be penalized for the actions of a few.
fair enough. Fair enough. And what is happening to Kashmiris, I think again, in Dehradun and here and there, doesn't do the country much good. And I'm surprised because Omar has made this point today that even the Congress hasn't choked up. So he said what we want is an opposition to the BJP, not a B team of the BJP. And that is the impression that a lot of people who are supporting the Congress get. That is the Congress just a B team of the BJP? I think the Congress needs to also think of these things.
Now, going back into a little hindsight, in your book, The Vajpayee Years, you go on to say that L.K. Advani and the then CM of J&K, Farooq Abdullah, were against the release of Maulana Masood Azhar. What was going in your mind when this entire saga was unfolding at that point in time?
No, nothing was going in my mind. I only had a job to do. And it was not a very pleasant job. I was sent to Jammu to persuade Dr. Farooq to release 2 out of these 3 gentlemen who were in custody in J&K. And he was very angry about it. Not so much about Masood Azhar, but about the Kashmiri who was released, Mushtaq Latram. And he said, I will not let this Kashmiri go. He is the biggest killer. You can have the other fellow if you want, and you will regret it one day. So,
Do you think we are regretting that today, releasing him? Had we not released him, things perhaps could have been different.
I don't agree with that. There was no option at that time. I argued.
But he
a
did
lot
form the
with it.
JEM after that, and he did orchestrate a lot of terrorist attacks.
What
on our
was
soil.
the option in Kandahar? Tell me. The option was only in Amritsar, and we goofed in Amritsar. Once the aircraft left Indian territory, there was no option. Do you think in this country people are prepared for so many people, so many Indians to be blown up in Afghanistan? Do you think any government would survive after that or whatever? Vajpayee was not a weakling, he was a realist.
Now, let's talk a bit about Pakistan and the leaders that Pakistan has had. Right from Zulfikar Ali Bhutto to Zia-ul Haq to Yahya Khan to Benazir Bhutto, then Nawaz Sharif and General Pervez Musharraf. Who do you think had the best approach towards India and Kashmir?
That's an easy one. My favorite is Musharraf. For the simple reason that if we go back the last 30 years that I have been watching Kashmir, no one has been as reasonable as he was. Now here is the tragedy. When Kargil happened, he was the villain. And he was. I mean, that's the reality. Everybody knows that. But when he started talking to us, he said, let's forget Kargil and let's move on. And ultimately, I mean, he said so many things. For instance, he repeatedly said, which no other Pakistani leader has said, that whatever is acceptable to Kashmir and Kashmiris would be acceptable to Pakistan. What better solution can you have? And then his 4-point formula actually was the same with cosmetics as what Dr. Farooq has been saying for 30 years, that the only solution is on the line of control. So how much more reasonable can a Pakistani general and president get?
Now, 26/11 happened during former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's regime. How do you think he handled it?
I think he handled it well. A lot of people thought there would be a backlash, the Congress would suffer. It didn't affect the election. I think he handled it extremely maturely, and he handled it well.
How do you think the current establishment and its foreign policy towards Pakistan is shaping up, especially PM Modi?
There is nothing happening just now. And I don't think anything is going to happen till the elections. But ultimately, there is no escape from talking to Pakistan. And if you ask me, this is a good time, this is a good man to talk to. I think Imran Khan is a good guy to do business with. And if the army is soft on him, or if you think he's the army's man, even better. Because ultimately the final shots are called by the army in Pakistan. That again is a reality. So if Bajwa and Imran are on the same page, what can you think of anything better than that from our point of view? If you want to talk, if you want to negotiate.
Mr. Dulat, you also go on to say that we exaggerate the role of Pakistan in Kashmir, and Imran Khan, like you just said, should be given a chance. But since he's taken up over as
Not
Prime Minister,
exaggerate. I said their role was over. It finished. They had no role left.
Since the time Imran Khan has
Like
taken
you
over,
said, and we didn't get to that. You know, for the Kashmiri now, Pakistan is only a fallback position. Huh? If this is the way India is going to treat us, then we are Pakistanis. Take it.
a lot of people also feel since the time he has taken over as the Prime Minister, the shackles on some of the terrorist organizations, be it the LET, the Hizb, or the JEM, have come off.
Since Imran has taken over, I told you, he just banned the Hafiz Saeed's that Jamiatul Dawa. So he's thinking realistically. I don't think he would remove any shackles. He's a realist. He's not a mullah. His past, as you know, has been quite flamboyant.
Well, he's also supported the Taliban in the past. And let's talk a bit about Afghanistan also, sir.
Well, it makes sense for Pakistan to support Taliban. No, wait. You said that he has also supported. It's natural for Pakistan to support the Taliban. I don't know why we don't do business with the Taliban. Why have we not had a relationship with the Taliban?
So do you think that the US now pulling out of Afghanistan, we will have that opportunity to deal with the Taliban?
Well, it'll be a forced opportunity because you have no options left now. But why did we not do it all these years? You know, when 814 happened, we were in a desperate situation because it happened at a bad time. It was Christmas week. Poor Jaswant Singh, who was foreign minister, couldn't get anybody to talk to. And he tried desperately to get across to the Taliban foreign minister, Mutawakil, and he wouldn't take his call because we had no relationship with the Taliban. And ever since then, I don't think things have improved.
Mr. Dulat, now, you also said that if Israel can talk to Hamas, then we can also have a conversation with the Hurriyat. Is that a template that we should aspire to have? Or is there a false equivalence?
We've talked to the Hurriyat. What is the problem? And they are not as extremist or as radical as Hamas is. And if the Israelis can, why only the Israelis? Everywhere people are talking to everyone.
Mr. Dulat, what did you think of the PDP and BJP alliance in Jammu and Kashmir? There was no groundwork done, according to you. And do you think the last year and a half was perhaps a very dark period?
There was groundwork done, but it was a disastrous alliance. Mufti Saab had no option. You know, his only option was to opt out, and he wanted to be chief minister. He always has wanted to be chief.
Were they as different as chalk and cheese?
And of course, he himself said so. He said it's an alliance between the North and South Pole. He was conscious of that. But I think he overestimated himself and he underestimated Modi ji. And then the Kashmiri gradually realized that this was a disaster. It was never going to work. And at the end, before he died, Kashmiris had started accusing him for bringing the BJP and the RSS into the valley. So it was not going to work. It was never going to work.
So, Mr. Dulat, in synopsis, we can come to the conclusion that the best way forward to deal with Pakistan is dialogue, and coercive action at all cost should be avoided, and the best template and precedents that we have is what the Vajpayee regime has taught us. Thank you so much for talking to us. I thoroughly enjoyed my
The Vajpayee way is the only way forward, both with Pakistan and in Kashmir. Let me put it like that.
Thank you for your time. Really appreciate you giving us these insights.
Thank you very, very much. Thanks. Bye, pleasure.